Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study of paper 16, the Seven Master Spirits, and we're on section 9, Reality of Human Consciousness, and we should be able to finish this paper tonight, I hope. So this will be the last in this series on this paper. Let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to come and share this wonderful revelation you've given to us that we might learn more about you and our pathway to come. We thank you for our many blessings over Thanksgiving. We thank you for our friends and relatives. And we thank you for your continued guidance at each and every day of our lives. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Let's see. Pam, would you like to start reading for us tonight since you're at the top? Unmute though. Pam, you need to unmute. There you go.
Got it.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to adjust my volume because earlier today I had it on low and now I can't hear anyone. So is this too loud?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Good.
So reality of human consciousness. The cosmic mind endowed, adjuster indwelt, personal creature possesses innate recognition, realization of energy reality, mind reality, and spirit reality. The will creature is thus equipped to discern the fact, the law, and the love of God. Aside from these three inalienables of human consciousness, all human experience is really subjective, except that intuitive realization of validity attaches to the unification of these three: universe, reality, responses of cosmic recognition.
Okay. So this is a big mouthful at the very beginning, right? This is why I said the last part of this paper is so important. Okay. To be cosmic mind endowed, what do you have to be? A believer
Aware
in
of the
something.
universe.
That's right. A believer in what? The spirit. The cosmic mind comes from the infinite spirit, which comes from where? The seven master spirits. That's where why this is in this section, right? So you have to be cosmic mind endowed first, right? Through the infinite spirit,
Roger,
the seven master spirits, and the
you would
local
need a
universe mother
normal,
spirit.
a normal brain too.
That's right, a normal brain, right? You also would be adjuster indwelt. Do you think you would have a cosmic mind endowed if you didn't have an adjuster? Not likely, right?
Probably
Because
not.
we're human. We're not superhuman. We weren't sent down here as superhuman beings, right? Now, think about this. Caligaster 100 did not have what? Adjusters, right? Okay, but they were cosmic mind endowed, and they did have adjusters previously when they got to the mansion worlds, and they would have fused eventually with their thought adjusters, wouldn't they, if they would stay there? All right.
So why did they leave them behind?
They left them behind because they had progressed up to a certain point, to the point where they're almost ready to fuse, right? If they fused, then they would be what? Full sons of God, daughters of God, right? Not faith sons of God, right?
Not what?
They would be full sons of God instead of faith sons of God.
They also wouldn't have made the mistakes.
They also wouldn't have made the mistakes. Okay. So this, in essence, opportunity they had to come to the planet was what? A mortal experience, right? Okay. Normally, when you get past a lifetime on a planet, you no longer are experiencing mortal experiences. What kind of experiences are you experiencing? Urantia experiences, right? So they put out a call for people that had gone through all 6 or 7 of the mansion worlds and had not fused. So for some reason, they didn't fuse on the 5th world like people normally do. Okay. So when they get to the headquarters world, they put out a call for adjuster indwelt beings or mortals who wanted to do a little bit more experience in a mortal format, right? And that was the Caligastra 100. They had the understanding, though, that when they went, their adjuster would be left on the Capitol there, and they would rejoin the adjuster when they got back, okay, regardless of how long it took, okay? So when they came to the planet, they didn't have adjusters. You follow me?
That's why they messed
Rebelled.
up.
That's why they messed up. They didn't have that God consciousness giving them direction anymore. Go ahead, Jane.
But it is my understanding that the adjuster does not really influence our decisions. And our
No, he
free will.
spiritualizes our decisions. He doesn't influence them, but he spiritualizes them, our everything we do. Okay. So when that adjuster is not there, Jane, do you think it would be easier for us to get in trouble not following God's will in our life? I think so.
Sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
And that's what happened.
So Roger, does this happen on all the universes that the beings that come to try and, I guess, earn grace? I mean, why else would they be there?
Well, it's an experiential thing, gain experience, right?
Yes, and so they all
Yeah.
leave their adjusters behind?
When they go to a planet like that, they do. That's correct.
Doesn't sound like a great plan.
Huh?
It doesn't
Well,
sound
they
like
can
a
only
great.
do it once. No, they can only do it once, one
Oh.
time. Yeah. There's reasons, I'm sure, that they decide to do this. The celestial beings decide to do this, which is beyond us, really. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a cosmic mind. We have we're indwelt by an adjuster, right? And we have creature innate recognition or realization of certain types of reality. And that includes energy reality. What's energy reality? That's the physical reality, right? We have mind reality. That's the mind, that's your brain. That's what's inside of you. That's the mind circuit. That reality, we know that too. And we also have spirit reality. That's all three levels: the finite, the Urantia, and the spiritual. You see that? Okay. And these are innate recognitions of the realization of these things. This recognition of these things are built into our psyche when we're born. Okay. So because of this, that equips us for the discernment of fact, what is fact, what is not, the law, what is right and wrong, and the love of God. Okay. All right. And then they go on to tell us besides these three inalienabilities of human consciousness, everything we do in human experience as it relates to reality is subjective. What does that mean?
We interpret
Subject
it.
to interpret. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Subject to interpretation.
Objective, that's exactly right. All right. So except for the intuitive realization of the attachment of the unification of the three things we just talked about, right? Energy reality, mind reality, and spirit reality. So plugging those three things in together, or the unification of those three reality response, is part of our own cosmic recognition of the world. So we don't even have to think about it. It's built into us, right? It's an innate thing. Okay. It's really funny because when I was going through chiropractic school, they had the 31 laws we had to memorize that was talking about this sort of thing, the innate things that we were built in from the start. Okay, that every human being has. It's not something special. Everybody has it. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. The God discerning mortal is able to sense the unification value of these three cosmic qualities and the evolution of the surviving soul, man's supreme undertaking in the physical tabernacle where the mortal mind collaborates with the indwelling divine spirit to dualize the immortal soul. From its earliest inception, the soul is real. It has cosmic survival qualities.
Okay, so here, this planet where we're on right now, as we evolve the soul, right? So the soul is part of not only the physical body, it's the moral mind, and it's part of the indwelling spirit too, the three parts all together. And these three parts come together to dualize an immortal soul. And where does this immortal soul really come into full fruition? In the first mansion world. Okay, when you wake up and become a Urantia being, your immortal soul really starts to flourish. All right, and
Roger, we aren't even, the soul is what we are.
We're
That's the
building.
only thing that's going to survive.
That's the only thing that's going to survive besides
We
our
really
memories.
need to work on that soul.
Yeah, we do. I mean, what it says here, from the earliest inception, the soul is real and it has cosmic survival qualities. Why is that important? Because without the soul, you will not survive. Make sense? That's the part of us that survives, become our Urantia self.
Isn't
Okay.
there a phrase in the Bible or in Urantia book where it says something like his soul left his body for, like, when a person dies, goes on? Somewhere I've read that. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is, but I can't put my finger on where it would be right now, Gary, to be honest. So
But
think
you're
about
right.
more
The
about it.
soul is basically the only surviving thing.
It is. That's the only thing in human consciousness that really survives is the soul and the memories of the soul. Right? All
Yeah,
right.
we probably should spend more time polishing it and washing it and everything else.
Yeah, we should. Millie, would you take the next one, please? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I can do that. Where are we? I got you.
If mortal man fails.
If mortal man fails to survive natural death, the real spiritual values of his human experience survive as a part of the continuing experience of the thought adjuster. The personality value of that first sentence doesn't, if mortal man fails to survive natural death, fails to survive, mortal man fails to survive natural death. The
Right.
real spiritual values of his human experience survive as a part of the continuing experience of the thought adjuster. The personality value of such a non-survivor persists as a factor in the personality of the actualizing supreme being. Such persistent qualities of personality are deprived of identity, but not of experiential values accumulated during the mortal life in the flesh. The survival of identity is dependent on the survival of the immortal soul of Urantia status and increasingly divine value. Personality identity survives in and by the survival of the soul.
And there it is. If you don't survive, in other words, if you choose not to survive past this world, all the values and everything of spiritual value goes on with the thought adjuster, and your experience goes on with the actualizing supreme, which who is the vicegerent of the supreme right now? The seventh master spirit, right? So all your experience goes to the seventh master spirit and eventually to the supreme and goes with the thought adjuster. But that thing which makes you who you are, the personality of you, does not survive if you're a non-survivor, right? If you
Roger,
choose not
what
to survive.
happens to the soul of that individual?
It ceases to exist. That which has been given to it is taken completely away, right? Remember Jesus talked about this?
Or it's
Though-
absorbed.
Yeah, it's absorbed back into cosmic consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't want to go on.
No, they didn't want to go on.
Mhm.
You have to choose survival, right?
Mhm.
You have to want salvation. That's why Jesus was always saying, let's go save some souls. Did he not? Over and over and over again. All right. Jane, would you?
Can I say something before we move on?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Back when you talked about the Caligastia 100 having no adjusters,
Right.
they were selected from beings that had already been through the mansion worlds.
That's right. All
So
seven of them.
So they really didn't need a whole lot of adjusting. They already had gotten rid of their barnacles. Can I call it that?
Yeah, the mark of the beast, right?
Yes,
should have been
they'd gotten rid of the
eradicated.
mark of the beast.
Right, that's
So
right. Right.
they were good guys when they went, even though they didn't
Right.
have thought adjusters.
That's right. That's right. That's why you go through the mansion worlds, right? To remove the mark of the beast, become cosmic citizens. Okay.
And they
So
had already been through all of that.
they had
So when
already
they
been
went,
through all that. So when they
when they-
failed, yeah, on this
they
earth,
failed on their very own.
they failed on their very own. That's right.
So what are you calling this mark of the beast? Is it a brand?
No, it's your beastie it's that thing, those things in your life that makes you like the animals. Okay, and that's why they call it the mark of the beast. It's bestiality. Okay, it's barbarianism, wanting to kill one another, want to steal from one another. All the things the Ten Commandments says not to do. Okay.
Their major problem was their ego.
Their major problem, that's right, was their ego. And they, some of them developed a taste for killing and things like that. That's part of the mark of the beast. That's why they
Oh.
call it the mark of the beast. We act like beasts instead of human beings. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. It's not like a brand on your head or anything like that. It's how you act, right? All right. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. Human self-consciousness implies the recognition of the reality of selves other than the conscious self, and further implies that such awareness is mutual, that the self is known as it knows. This is shown in a purely human manner in a man's social life. But you cannot become so absolutely certain of a fellow being's reality as you can of the reality of the presence of God that lives within you. The social consciousness is not inalienable like the God consciousness. It is a cultural development and is dependent on knowledge, symbols, and the contributions of the constitutive endowment of man, science, morality, and religion. And these cosmic gifts, socialized, constitute civilization.
Okay, so self-consciousness and civilization or socialization into the world is a learned process. Does that make sense? You have to learn these things to become a social being. However, reality and your presence in God's life and that God lives within you is not not the case at all. You can become absolutely certain of your own reality as you can the reality of the presence of God that's in you. Okay, but all the socialization, the endowments of man, science, morality, religion, all these things are learned concepts. They are gifts of the cosmos. They're cosmic gifts, but they're learned gifts. We have to want to socialize. We have to want to treat each other like human beings. We have to want to learn something in our lives, not sit around and just be an idiot in front of the idiot box all night, right? These things that we're learning, these socialization skills, are learned things that come from the cosmos itself, right? The social consciousness. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, let's go down here a little bit more if I can get a hold of this. Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Civilizations are unstable because they are not cosmic. They are not innate in the individuals of the races. They must be nurtured by the combined contributions of the constitutive values of man,
Factors of
science.
man.
Would you say?
Factors of man, not values.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
It constitutes factors of man, science, morality, and religion. Civilizations come and go, but science, morality, and religion always survive the crash.
okay, and those are learned things, right? That's a good thing, especially if we see what's going on around us now. Right? It is. So we have to keep our chins up because it's all going to work out sooner or later. Maybe not in our lifetime, but it will work out. All right. Diane, would you take the next one, please, dear?
Jesus not only revealed God to man, but he also made a new revelation of himself and to other men. In the life of Jesus, you see man at his best. Man thus becomes so beautifully real because Jesus had so much of God in his life, and the realization, recognition of God is inalienable and constitutive in all men.
Notice it says the realization or recognition of God is inalienable and constitutive in all men. In other words, the mission of Jesus is inalienable, right? We have that within us. It's innate. That's right. So if you can recognize your own creator, which was Jesus, you recognize God, the Father, right? Because that is his Father. Okay, just makes sense. All right. You know, it's kind of funny. People say, can you get to the mansion worlds, or can you get to heaven without?
Definition of inalienable.
That's right. Can you get to the mansion worlds without recognizing Jesus? You can get there, but you won't stay, right? They won't let you stay. You know, how can you go on past the first mansion world without recognizing your own creator? You cannot do that, right? That would be like getting there and saying, I'm the Almighty and I created myself, right? I mean,
So,
how
Roger,
ridiculous. Yeah,
I'm just trying to understand, like, so let's say a Muslim dies.
right.
Does he automatically have, like a new consciousness?
Not automatically a new consciousness, because the Muslims believe that Jesus was a son of God. Okay, that's not the problem they have with Jesus. They don't believe he was our God, our creator. Okay, that's where the problem will come in. Okay, so when
What do they
get
call him?
they call him the son of God, or one of the sons of God. Of course, they thought Muhammad was one of the sons of God too, right? So being that he was a son of God, they recognize Jesus, but they don't recognize what Jesus said he stood for. And they don't recognize definitely that Jesus was sacrificed for all their sins, like the Christians do. That's a big sticking point. Okay. So that's, the fact that they recognize Jesus is one up for them, if you think about it. But when they get to the mansion worlds, they will have to understand that Jesus was also their creator, right? Their God. All right. And that will only come when probably they get to the mansion worlds, if they get there, right?
But
So
what about these other religions like Hindu?
same
Would
thing.
they? Huh?
It'll be the same situation, Gary. They will have to recognize the Son of God before they will go anywhere.
So you're saying that, say, a Hindu won't go onto the Urantia world, more than likely, because he's going to say Akabada Majabada, the god
No.
of snakes or somebody
Not
is my god.
necessarily. Not
Huh?
necessarily. Not necessarily, Gary. He may get there just fine. Okay, but when he gets there, he will be on in a situation that it'll be temporarily probation. He will get there as a probationary pilgrim, really. Okay, but when they get there as probationary pilgrims, they will have to take classes and they will have to recognize Jesus or the Son of God as their creator, or they will never leave probation, or they will never leave that first mansion world. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
It's a requirement of going
So
on.
what you're putting them in is juvenile detention until they straighten up.
Yeah, you got it, Gary. That's one way to look at it. You know, we can't say at 100% that who will make it to the mansion world and who won't. Right. That's not our job, right? What we can say that if they have faith in God, that's the only thing that's required. If they have faith in God in their survival, they will wake up on the mansion world. That we can say, regardless of their religion. Okay.
Even a Christian religion says that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think most religions do acknowledge God, a God, some
a
God,
God, some
a
God.
God.
Yeah.
They just have to learn about Jesus when they get to the mansion worlds.
That's right. That's what it boils down to. Jane.
Yes. So what I was going to ask or say is it really any different than each and every one of us as we sit here learning new things, different things? You know, we may all have come from different faiths and different walks, and now we are here and realizing through this revelation the other points that are not consistent really with the true word of God. And it would be the same for everybody else ongoing, I
That's
think.
right. It will be, Jane.
So they won't be really any different than us, because we only have a limited capacity of understanding, and we take it all in stages. But as
That's
long
right.
as they are opened to find God and to have faith and trust,
Right.
we're
It's
all
all
on the
about
same.
enlightenment, is it not?
Mhm.
How enlightened you are. That's what it boils down to, really.
Because God loves everybody the same way. He doesn't have
Exactly.
preferences.
No, he
We're
doesn't.
not any special than they are.
No, nobody is, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. The sooner we learn that, the better off we are, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Unselfish. Okay, who's up next? Did you just read there? You just read? Pam, would you read again for us, please? Gary,
Is
did
this
you?
self-consciousness?
I've
Unselfish.
read once. Do you want me to read again?
No,
I'll
let
gladly
Pam
do it.
read. No, I think Pam's
Okay.
unselfishness.
Okay. Unselfish social consciousness must
No, it's the
be,
one right above that.
sorry.
Yeah.
Unselfishness, aside from parental instinct, is not altogether natural. Other persons are not naturally loved or socially served. It requires the alignment of reason, morality.
Enlightenment. Wait a minute, Pam, that's enlightenment of reason. That's what I was
What it-
talking about, enlightenment.
Yes,
Okay,
you just talked about that.
yeah,
Enlightenment of reason, morality, and the urge of religion, God knowingness, to generate an unselfish and altruistic social order. Man's own personality awareness, self-consciousness, is also directly dependent on this very fact of innate other awareness, this innate ability to recognize and grasp the reality of other personality, ranging from the human to the divine.
you want me to tell you a little secret about this?
Mhm.
Sure.
And you'll see this in children. You know what the surefire way of knowing that the adjuster has arrived in a child? is they start to share things with other children. It's
Yes.
unselfish behavior.
Share in what way?
Their toys, their
Cookies.
snacks, their cookies, all sorts of different things. Because when they start to share, they're thinking of someone other than just themselves. And that
Ah.
is what? Social order, right? They
And the
become
adjuster?
altruistic. And the adjuster has usually arrived at that point, because naturally children won't do that. Okay, they'll
And
keep
that-
everything for themselves.
Did you say 7 years old?
About five and a
Five.
half. Yeah. So that's just a little tidbit there for you. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. I was just thinking back when I was 7 years old and didn't want to share my Matchbox cars
Yeah.
because I knew the neighbor kid was going to destroy them.
Yeah.
And mom gave me a scolding.
Yeah.
Okay. Unselfish social consciousness must be at bottom a religious consciousness. That is, if it is objective. Otherwise, it is a purely subjective philosophic abstraction and therefore devoid of love. Only a God-knowing individual can love another person as he loves himself.
And why is that important? That's what Jesus kept trying to teach us. Love God the Father and love each other as you love yourself, right? Is it not? That's the goal, all right? And it's really funny, from the previous paragraphs, it says, it is directly dependent on the very fact of an innate other awareness, this innate ability to recognize and grasp the reality of other personalities ranging from human to divine. And then he goes on in the next paragraph and tells us that's what's required to what? Love one another as you love yourself, right? This is what it's all about. This is what Jesus kept teaching us, right? Kept trying to teach us if we would listen, right? All right, let's go down here. Let me see if I can get this back up here a little bit further. Let's see, Millie, would you take the next one? Actually, take the next first sentence and the four things there, if you would, dear.
I can do that. Self-consciousness is, in essence, a communal consciousness. God and man, father and son, creator and creature. In human self-consciousness, four universe reality realizations are latent and inherent. One, the quest for knowledge, the logic of science. Two, the quest for moral values, the sense of duty. Three is the quest for spiritual values, the religious experience. And four, the quest for personality values, the ability to recognize the reality of God as a personality and the concurrent realization of our fraternal relationship with fellow personalities.
And this is how we become self-conscious. You see that? These four things, all right? Our consciousness of God and man, Father, Son, creator, creature, and our self-consciousness of these four things: the quest of knowledge, the quest of morals, the quest of spiritual, and the quest for personality values. And these are the things to love God and love other people as we love ourselves, right? This is what you call a Jesus lesson, any way you look at it, right? All right.
The fourth one is important right now, with everybody being so aware of the virus and staying away from. We really need
Each
the
other.
fraternal friendship
We do.
relationships.
That's
It's brought it home to us that we need other people around us. I've got friends who don't come out of their house, and she gets on the phone and talks to me and talks and talks and talks. I'll meet you at the mailbox so we can look face to face and talk to each other. That you need you need the interaction with other people, other humans,
Yeah.
not just
yeah.
a dog, not just a
This-
telephone.
This whole virus thing has been a disservice to not only our country, to the world, if you think about it, because this has affected people all over the world, and it stops this interaction of personality and fraternal relationships with one another, right?
Yes.
It's
But
just,
why
One
do
of
you
the
think,
terrible things that's come of it.
yes. What'd you
so
say?
why do you think it's happened?
I think it's a
Why do
wake
I
up.
think that the virus has happened? I have no idea why the virus
No.
has happened.
No.
I think it's a wake up call, Pam.
You think
I-
so?
I think it's a wake up call that human beings need one another. We need to love one another. We need to be close to one another. We don't need things between us. The worst thing that we could possibly do is wear a mask around. You know, what does it do? It covers your nose, it covers your mouth. What is the part of human beings that's so different than animals? It's our expression, right? Our expression on our faces, okay? And we can only see that uncovered. We can't see that with something over your face all the time, right? So if you think about it, the mask that we're wearing is a worse disservice to the world than the virus itself has been.
He
That's
might be
my
right.
opinion.
He
you know?
might be right.
It really has been. I say that as a doctor. I go into places and they still, people still expect you to put a mask on. It doesn't matter if you've had 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, whatever. They tell us if we got vaccinated, you would need the shots. Then you have half of the medical society telling us we're doing more harm to ourselves wearing the mask than we are if we didn't. Okay, so you decide. It's your own decision. But I think the social value of it, of our interrelationships with one another, has suffered more than anything else. I really do. So that's why it's a disservice to the world. I really feel that. Okay, and that's my two cents of preaching for today. Okay, Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. You become conscious of man. You become conscious of man as your creature brother because you are already conscious of God as your creator father. Fatherhood is the relationship out of which we reason ourselves into recognition of brotherhood. And fatherhood becomes or may become a universe reality to all mortal creatures because the Father has himself bestowed personality upon all such beings and has encircuited them within the grasp of the universal personality circuit. We worship God first because he is, then because he is in us, and last, because we are in him.
Doesn't that make you want to cry?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the line. In
that
him we move and live and
have our being. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. All right. So you become conscious of other men because you're conscious of God as your father. That's basic, right? And then we become conscious of our brothers because of the fatherhood. And you could put motherhood in here also, right? It's really unfair not to say both. Okay. Then if you think about it, all creatures, every single creature that has personality, the God the Father has bestowed that personality, and we're all connected together through the universal personality circuit. We're all part of the same family. All right. And then it all comes back to God the Father. And we worship God first because he is God, right? And then because he is in us as the adjuster, right? And then we are in him in the personality circuit, are we not? How beautiful can that be? Now, this last paragraph is a question. So as Gary reads it, think about it as a question. All right, Gary, would you read that last paragraph for us?
Yeah. Is it strange that the cosmic mind should be self-consciously aware of its own source, the infinite mind of the infinite spirit, and at the same time conscious of the physical reality of the far-flung universes, the spiritual reality of the eternal Son, and the personality reality of the universal Father? Question.
Okay, that's a question. I'd say, I don't know that it's strange or not, but think of it this way. It asks, is it strange that the cosmic mind should be consciously aware of its own source? Now, what is the cosmic mind?
The infinite spirit.
Part
isn't it?
of the infinite
Infinite
spirit,
spirit.
right? And it's aware of its own source, which is what? The cosmic mind is the source for the cosmic mind is the mind of the infinite spirit, is it not?
That's right. Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's also it has time consciousness of the physical reality of far-flung universes. The physical reality of far-flung universes, what's that? That's the finite reality, is it not? Okay, then it's conscious of the spiritual reality of the eternal Son, all the spirit circuits, right? The spiritual beings. And at the same time, it's conscious of the personality of the reality of the universal Father. So what does that include all of? The Trinity, every
On
bit
the
of it,
Trinity.
right?
And is that what the Supreme is accomplishing?
Yes.
The Supreme Being?
The Supreme Being is coming into full fruition through the
Of
seventh
the
Master
the
Spirit, right?
totality of all of
The
this.
totality of everything, the finite, the mindal, the Urantia, the spiritual, and paradise, the infinite, right?
Yeah.
What a paper. And this was sponsored by the by a universal censor of Uversa. All right, we beat that paper to death, did we not?
We could
You
read
know,
that paper again,
Yeah.
and it will all be new to me again.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Although I understand it as you're explaining it, if I was to go back and read it again, and it happens when I listen to it, it's all new again.
Yeah. Let me stop the share. Now, next time we'll do the 7 Supreme Spirit groups. Let me stop the share and we have everybody's picture up here. There we go. All right. So Pam, did you have a question? You had your hand raised before.
You know, I'm not remembering.
That's all
It's
right.
good. It's good.
It's good. It's all good. All right. I just wanted to give you opportunity. Anybody else has anything to
Yes,
say?
I had a
Yes.
question quite a while back when you were
Okay.
talking about the souls.
Yes.
Aren't our souls all the same when we are born? Are they all good? Are
They
they
are.
all?
They are. They
They
are,
are.
Jane, but they're like an embryo. Okay. And because, it's kind of like the mold for, if you think about it, for the Urantia bodies, they're blanks, right?
Okay.
They have no preconceived ideas, anything like that. When they put you into a Urantia body, you are a new being starting from scratch. Now, then they come along and put your personality back into your new body and all your memories. So from that point on, it's yours. It becomes you, right? Because the thought adjuster's there with you, right? So instantly that blank becomes you, okay? And if you think about it, the soul's the same way. When we start out on this planet, we're blanks, all right? And God the Father arrives when we're about 5 years old. So he takes all of our personality up to that age of about 5. And at that point, he starts churning all this stuff up within us and we start creating the soul, don't we? An experience. Yes. And so when we get to the first mansion world, when we do our 80 or 90 years or 5 years or however it is on along this world, and we wake up on the mansion world, we actually have a birth of that created embryo soul into a new being. Okay, so that embryo goes from being an embryo to actually being born on that Urantia or on that first mansion world.
So you're bringing, I'm relating it to our mortal life, you know,
Right.
because I'm a bit graphic that way. I remember a little bit better.
Mhm.
It's almost like, you know, we abort babies.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's like when we have that soul, we abort it. That
If you fail to survive, that's what you're
you
doing. You're
abort it.
aborting
You
your
just
soul.
killed your soul.
That's right.
You
That's
just
right.
denied it life.
You
And
denied it life when you had,
yeah,
yeah. And if you
And-
think about it, that's why Jesus kept saying, let's go save some souls. Okay. Because what he wanted you to do is make that connection in your mind that you're creating a soul, and by believing, you're going to wake up on that mansion world and that soul has a chance to live. Okay. So if you, in reality, if you do not want to survive and you do not go on to the mansion world, you've aborted your soul right there.
and yeah, and probably, and tell me from your knowledge, we become aware, do we? It's a question, not a statement, because I don't know. Do we become aware at that point when we wake up on the first mentioned world that this is going to take a lot of work and responsibility?
Of course. Yes. I
And
would
that's
say
what,
so.
what people think when they abort a child. Don't want the
Yes.
responsibility. It's a lot of work.
It's a
I
lot of
don't
work.
have what
Yeah.
it takes, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, right?
Right. Right. And if you think about it, people's going to hate me for saying this, but it's a selfish act to abort your own soul, right?
Yes,
Just
very
as if it's a
selfish.
selfish act if you abort a baby, right?
Yeah.
Same
What
period. Same.
happens to them though? Do they go on to the mansion world and go into the nursery? So wait for people that haven't had raised 3 children to be one of their wards?
That's my personal belief, Gary. I can't justify that with the Urantia book. Okay. But that's my personal belief, you know, from what I've read. Okay.
All right,
They don't-
Roger, you were saying that if a child is aborted, that they go to the Urantia world?
I believe they do. That's my personal belief. Don't quote me from the book for that, but that's, you know, I can't see any way at all how that could not be the case, you know, from what I've studied. It doesn't state it that way because in the Urantia book, it states it this way. It says life begins at birth. Okay. Now, if you want to go with the strict definition of birth, birth does not start until you are actually born, right?
Till you
So
breathe.
you take a breath.
Oh, wait a
You
second.
take a first breath. Now,
Up until then,
that's,
you're a parasite.
that's what it says. It says life begins at birth. Now, in our definition of birth is when you're born. Okay. But their definition of birth may be totally different. That's why I'm saying that's why I believe this way. Their
Conception.
definition of birth to me would be conception. And I believe that from what? Jesus's incarnation. Okay. Because when Mary conceived Jesus, okay, who came to visit her?
Gabriel.
Gabriel, did he not?
Yeah.
The
Okay.
very day.
The very day that he was conceived. Am I not right?
You're right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So to the celestial beings, birth may be the date of conception. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And to me, that
Possible.
makes the most sense.
I would have to, looking at it, even the way you present it is, because if it isn't so, if it is not the way you say it,
Yes.
then by deduction, we are not even saved. We're not even spiritualized because we're only not even the seed yet.
We aren't. That's right.
Right? But in truth, we are delivered already. In
Yes.
truth, we are complete. But in fact, we're not.
We're not. We don't. That's why they call us faith sons and daughters of
Yeah.
God. Right?
So
they don't
that
call us real
applies to
sons.
that
That's right.
philosophy.
That's right. We don't become real sons and daughters of God until we fuse with the adjuster.
With the
right?
adjuster.
That's
But in truth, that's the potential, the seed we're already,
Right.
for God, we are.
yeah. But y'all
Because-
understand why I think personally, I can't justify it by the book without the explanation of Mary, right?
Mhm.
And Jesus.
But it's
Roger, that it must mean that when we are conceived, when a human being,
Is conceived.
a mortal,
Yeah.
is conceived, that is when the personality is gifted.
Right. That makes sense to me. Makes perfect
Because
sense. Yeah,
Jesus received the personality of Michael.
that's right. That's
But they
right.
don't get the thought adjuster until 5 years old.
About 5 years old. But remember, they make a point of telling us that those children that die before that adjuster arrive are wards of the guardian angels, and they are taken to the father's world and await the parents to be awakened. They make a point
Wow.
of talking about that, you know. So if that's the case, my question is this: if that's the case, how about the babies that were conceived and never made it to birth, that were still the union of a man and a woman and two souls, right? Just like a trinity, they have made another type of being, or have they not? And why not? Why not would that being go on to the mansion worlds and be awakened just like the children that die before the adjusters arrive, right?
That's really a
Exactly.
wonderful thought.
Yeah.
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 you know,
Can you imagine somebody that has aborted many times gets
They're
to
out
the
there.
mansion world and say, "Oh no"?
Yeah.
You-
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard responsibility to think about, you know. It really is, because think about, I mean, let's face it, we've all made stupid mistakes in our life, have we not? All of us.
And
how
God
many?
forgives.
Yeah, and God forgives us for it.
God forgives.
How many of us went out and had all kinds of affairs before they got married? And when you're kids, you're running around sleeping with other people, not thinking about the consequences and things like that. So things happen. It happens to
Mhm.
everyone, right?
Yeah.
So unless you've been 100% pure your whole life, we could be talking about all of us, could we not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if Jesus forgave those who crucified him, everybody, no matter
Everybody.
what
That's
the
right.
crime is, doesn't matter.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It
It
doesn't.
doesn't. Yeah.
It really doesn't. So
Well,
we've,
thank you, Roger.
well, that's my personal opinion. Y'all have to take it as a
Thank you.
personal opinion, you know, so anyway. Well, listen, let's get off here. Let's say a little prayer and we'll quit for tonight. We made it in an hour. We finished that paper. So let's say a little prayer and we'll quit for tonight. Dear, would you like to pray for us tonight? Turn your mic back on.
You telling me?
Gary, yeah, go ahead and pray.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I yeah. I was just thinking of that same thing. What if he calls me? What should I say? So um, I think the last thing we should take away from today's meeting is the fact that Jesus forgave those who so cruelly persecuted him, even though he was innocent. If Jesus can do that, then we should be able to forgive everybody against us.
That's
The
right.
Jews against the Germans for the Holocaust, the blacks against the whites, and yellows against the oranges. I don't care. We all is forgivable and should be forgiven.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. And
Amen.
thank you at
Thank you,
home
Gary.
for joining us. Please come see us again. We'll start on paper 17, I guess, next week. All right.
Indeed.
All right.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night,
Good night,
all.
everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you Thursday, right?